Hey everyone, this is Lomi, and today I'm making myself a new tool and doing the beginning of some modification work. As you can see, I've got Rune up here, and I'm going to undress him, unstring him, take him all apart. I mentioned a while back when I did my outdoor photo shoot that I was going to work on him some more, and I decided this was probably the best time to do it. So, I hardly know where to start. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you probably know that Rin was my first BJD and my first major modification project. I worked really hard on him and did my best to make all the changes permanent. Unfortunately, that didn't work out like I planned. Not even remotely, but I'll show you some of that in a second. Another problem is that after all this time, even with all the brainstorming I did, I've never been happy with the stability of his legs. Ippelhaus has really weird joints, especially in the early EIDs, and his knees were never great to begin with. They didn't take well to hybridizing the Zoom parts at all. And then his scaly parts ended up chipping pretty badly over time. The clear resin coating I put on his arms and legs ended up bubbling, so they're going to have to be stripped and repainted completely. This is going to be really problematic for me because of that resin. I haven't worked out what I'm doing just yet, but a part of the purpose of this video is showing you how I tackle working out a plan when things don't go the way they should. The first thing I'm going to change is the knees. Since they're really limited in posing and also in stability, I'm just going to redo them completely. They're made to be single jointed right now, but I think I'm going to lop off the ball joint and turn this into a double jointed knee. I'll have to figure out how to get the knee piece to go farther into the thigh and how to have it lock into place down in the shin, but this is a rough idea of what I'll need to do and how I'll need to shape things to keep the joint fitting the doll's parts. Sometimes I consider trying to get a different body, like maybe trying to get the Zoom Mega Gym body that was originally made for these fantasy parts, but then I'd have to do restorative modifications anyway to put the knees back the way they were. I might as well try this first to see what I can do. I borrowed my husband's coping saw, put on my respirator, and set to chopping off the knees. I won't lie, doing this made me sick. This was months of effort, and I'm disappointed that it's come to this after everything I put into it before. But one of the beautiful things about these dolls is that it's really hard to ruin them. They're so immensely customizable that anything you want can be done, redone, or undone with enough elbow grease. And whenever you tackle big projects like this, there'll always be a learning curve. Not everything will work out the way you want, and not everything will be perfect in the end. But we have an unlimited number of tries. So even though I'm disappointed to be reworking these parts, I also want to make it really clear that I don't feel like I failed. And when your projects don't pan out like you originally planned, you shouldn't feel like you failed either. What we often consider failure is really more like a stepping stone in the process of hitting success. It's finding the things that don't work so we can iron out those problems and do better as we continue to try. A lot of this project is going to end up being really tedious because it's going to be a lot of drilling and sanding and building things up slowly. Getting the resin coating off the airbrushed fantasy parts is a real struggle because there are really only two options. I don't want to sand these parts because I don't want to lose any detail. I tried wiping them down with acetone and that did nothing. I can chip the paint and coating off with a wooden tool, which prevents bad scratches, but it's going to take forever. I had hoped that using brush cleaner or acetone after getting a hole started would work, like it might dissolve the paint underneath the resin and let the resin just flake off, but that doesn't work. It'll remove the paint once the resin has been flaked off the top, but it doesn't do anything to the sections that are still coated in clear resin. Chipping the paint off and drilling out resin pieces is also super messy work, and it's too cold to do it outside, so I take a quick trip out to get something to solve the mess problem. This box should do the trick. I have some gloves I used to dye something in the past. like alpaca wool, or maybe I was dyeing my own hair. I don't remember, but they're perfect for this. Even my studio is really cold. I don't know if you can see my heater in the background, but it was about 55 Fahrenheit when I came upstairs, and it's warming up pretty slowly. I'm wearing like 3 layers of sweaters, so I look like a bear all fattened up to hibernate. I wish I could hibernate, because I'm not crazy about winter. Anyway, I marked the sides of the box with a Sharpie and used a Dremel to cut holes in the side. These holes look horrible since I was freehanding them, but they don't need to be perfect, they just need to be openings. Then the rubber gloves get duct taped into these holes. Once the holes are taped over, I can put the tools I'll be using into the box with my resin pieces, put on the lid. My hands can go into the gloves to work as I please, and almost all the dust will be trapped inside the box instead of getting blown all over my studio while I work through the winter months. While it's great for corralling dust, this sanding box is not airtight, so my respirator is still a requirement, both to keep stray dust out of my lungs and because there's still going to be resin fumes when I drill these pieces. I think the worst part of where I am in my customization efforts right now is that a lot of my projects need to be finished, polished, and have silicone molds made. I'm considering casting Rune's new knee pieces in resin, so I'm trying to get everything, my Feeple 65 head back, Rillen's arms and hands, Rune's faceplate, his knee pieces, all of it done at the same time so I can do it all at once. Silicone has a really short shelf life once it's open, so I don't want to risk opening it for one project and then have it expire before I do anything else. Hopefully it's not so sensitive that it'll expire before then. I don't really know how long it lasts in a closed container, but I do know it's only a few weeks once it's open, so I need everything to be ready to cast in the same time frame. Even though that's a big holdup for visible progress and makes it really hard to share things on video because my work is scattered all over the place, I think it's a sort of important transitional step in getting my dolls put together the way I want. So while I can't share all of this project because it's done in 5-minute increments here and there, I'll hopefully be able to explain what I did and how once everything is finished. And I'll fill in the gaps with little vlog type things like this, just to share how things are advancing. And that's all for today though. Thanks for joining me again. Bye.